Hello there, everybody. Welcome to the Leo new moon. The energy's been sort of nice. Uh, Busy, very busy. I've noticed a lot more activity, a lot more productivity. Now, maybe that's me. Maybe that's not really the new moon in Leo. Maybe that's more because Mars is in Virgo and Mercury's in Virgo. No, just Mars. Mars in Virgo is going to make you like doing the detailed work, organizing things, um, sometimes red tape, anything minutia is Mars and Virgo. Perfectionism kicks in, but as long as that's not, well, overboard, some of that energy can be good if you've got to get a lot done. So personally, I had probably the busiest day I've had in a long time. Uh, and it was good. It felt super to be running around and productive and more methodical. It's another Mars and Virgo thing. As far as the new moon in Leo goes, we've got Venus retrograding in Leo, and we've got the sun and the moon in Leo. And as you'll see, this chart is a Leo rising because the new moon's happening at 5 a.m., 5:32 a.m., I believe. That's a lot of Leo. That's a lot of shining, extroverted energy. And the Mars in Virgo then will, as we'll see, fall in the house of finance and money issues. So, not a bad time to be aware of and organizing your financial life, or if you're like me, reordering your space and your closets. So, we're going to dive in and take a look at the chart in a second. But first, I'd like to say that I will be teaching stuff in the fall. None of it has been officially announced, but there is a healing school that I have been asked to teach with, and I'm super, super excited about this opportunity. So stay tuned, and I will announce that when they give me dates. And I'm sorry to be mysterious, but I just wanted you to know that I am teaching somewhere cool in the fall. And it would be very likely intuitive development and chakra healing, which is exciting stuff. I'll go back to the tarot circles, but I don't find that most of us are back in the learning mode until we really get into the school year in Virgo mode. So, I will be announcing that for September at some point. And in the meantime, if you are just wanting to dabble and participate with your intuitive faculties a bit more, I invite you to join my Intuition Cafe on Facebook, where I post exercises and things to just keep yourself alive by like, yeah, what's my vibe on that? What am I really sensing? And it's very light, but it's just unless somebody asks you, you might not tune in, right? So I show you images or ask you questions and I say, what are you getting from that? And it just keeps your intuition activated. Um, and it's free to join, and I think it's a lot of fun. So if you would like readings, I will be honest with all of you, I've been struggling for a while about whether to start doing things in person again. I got used to the online life. I do enjoy it. For me, it works better. And I do have a space to see people in person, but I'm more and more leaning towards just being online. And I guess I could give a reason for that, couldn't I? Um, my reason is that I'm a little more of an introvert. I definitely like people, and I go out and perform and I sing and I do all kinds of stuff and I could be with people, but I'm more naturally an introvert. And that means, I feel more comfortable and more grounded in my own space without a lot of distractions around. And so for me, that means I can focus deeper and be more concentrated in what I'm doing because of that controlled environment, because there's less noise. unexpected people popping in and around you. I don't know. And that's just part of life with in-person sessions. Parking and traffic and people having an encounter with somebody on the way in that they want to complain about later. I don't know, all kinds of uh taking a lot of liberties, not negotiating. There's just an awful lot of boundary stuff that comes up with seeing people in person. And I find that also is much easier, much clearer and cleaner online, what it is, what it isn't. You open the screen, there we are. We record it or not. So I just found that when I was working online in a more introverted way, I felt better. And it does not change my abilities to do my readings at all, at all. Never has. So it also weeds out a lot of people that are more skeptical and anxious. That's another whole thing that was affecting me. If I'm sitting in front of somebody who's skeptical and anxious for years and years and years of my life, it had an impact on me. And so there's a bunch of other things I could go into that are my reasons, but those are core reasons. So I'm 99% sure I'm just going to be online, unless there are healing sessions or events, parties. I'll still come to stuff like that. So just wanted to put that out there for some reason. That's maybe my new moon seed that I'm planting. New moon is always a good time to plant seeds. At this time of year here in Canada, I guess we're going to be, middle of August. I don't know if we're planting any type of seeds for next year. We'd be waiting more for the early fall for flower bulbs to be planted. So actual seeds planted for the next spring. But for now, the symbolism of a new moon is always, it's a dark moon. We don't see it, So it's very feminine energy. It's very inward, like a seed buried in the dark. It's still there, even though we can't see it. And so it sort of implies like set your goal or your intention and don't necessarily tell anyone. Just let that seed be there in the dark until it's ready to start germinating. One day it's going to pop through and it's still going to be fragile, right? Because it's a new plant or new idea. You might want to wait until there's a few roots before you start telling people what's going on. And that gives it that chance to grow and that protection that it needs to be nurtured. And that's very much new moon energy in general. So let's dive in and take a look at this chart now. All right, so as you see, there's a nice configuration here, a beautiful, beautiful isosceles triangle, grand trine, 120 degrees, and that's happening between Mars and Mercury in Virgo, Pluto in Capricorn, and touching Uranus mainly. A bit of Jupiter, but Jupiter's not really part of the trine, the grand trine. It has a trine, but not the grand trine. You see what I mean here? Jupiter's just beside it over here at 14, and it makes a trine with the Mercury-Mars energy, but it's just not quite 14 degrees and 28 degrees it doesn't quite make the grand trine, but the Uranus does. So Mars, Uranus, and Pluto in a grand trine working well together. My goodness, no wonder we're all busy and productive. We can move mountains with that because it's got intensity and will and planning, Mercury and Virgo, and Pluto, power of transformation, Uranus, frenetic energy, lightning, speedy, innovative. Yeah, things could happen very quickly under this new moon. And normally if there's anything volatile with either of these planets, and there are a couple of squares here, I'm not getting a super volatile feeling out of it. Sometimes that combination could be quite angry or explosive. Pardon me. And I'm not getting that. I'm getting much more a feeling of like, okay, like four, because there's four planets involved, four powerful, sort of eccentric people. Um, yeah, a little bit perfectionist getting together and like, let's get this done. Let's get this over with. Let's plan. I mean, today I was certainly feeling that energy because I did so much organizing and work, and it involved physically moving things, and it was a lot, and riding my bike all over town and dragging things back and forth. And that's sort of a Mars, Pluto, Uranus energy. Like, okay, let's zigzag here. Oh, that solution. Okay. And like tangible physical stuff, it's not like an air trine where it's playing out more in your thoughts or your head or talking, or a grand water trine where it's like your emotions are in flow, your intuition, your dreams, your visions are in flow. This is Earth. This is like, let's do it. Let's weed the damn garden. Let's move those boxes. Let's get those tax returns or those investment, portfolios or the paperwork done. That's what this moon is doing. And that Mars and Mercury, as we said, are in the second house, as I said. And that's all about finances. Well, also sometimes property, personal property, and personal finance. And so Mars and Mercury together in personal finance. Well, good time to write your budget. Good time to refinance something. Good time to talk about anything with investments, anything where your mind needs to be very detailed and alert in order to really absorb what's going on. If you need to buy a brand new insurance policy, you've got to go over it. Great, do it. If you need to even understand better what you're doing with your health, your medication, anything that requires like that kind of focus, Mercury, Mars, and Virgo, perfect time to do it. If you've got like a box full of receipts and you need to sort through them and write things down and organize them and put them in files and get ready, or perfect energy for back to school, even if we're not quite there yet. Well, some people are probably preparing for it, but so that's where the energy is working the absolute best. Pluto in Capricorn, wants to conquer the world, wants to rule the world, wants to be in charge and climb the ladder. So there you've got this amazing strong transformation energy that is willing to do whatever it takes to make things happen and change. Then you've got this strategic planning side of Mars and Mercury and Virgo. They're going to get the details done. Pluto and Capricorn's like the CEO or the boss. Mars and Pluto, Mercury, Mars is like, oh yeah, I've got the plan. I've got just the way. And then you've got Uranus and Taurus trining it up there, the grand trine, right at the top of the chart going, I have an interesting investment idea. I have an interesting way or an alternative way to get that done. It's very practical, but it's also different. And Jupiter is there, not part of the grand trine, but still aiding in the Mars Mercury and aiding the Uranus energy. So it's really like you might just be like on a spree. That would be a good word for this moon. A spree. What whatever you're into or suddenly have the energy to do, it's like no one's stopping you now. Okay, you started ironing and you can't stop and you want to iron everybody's shirts in the entire house, you go for it, hon. If that's what, it could be anything like that. Chopping wood, I don't care. For your fireplace, you just start and you just can't stop. There's a spree. and it's productive. So it's great energy. Now let's look at our actual moon. So the sun and moon are at 23 degrees Leo, and we've got Venus right there at 18, and we've got our rising sign, if you're in the Eastern time zone, also in Leo. Like Venus, moon, sun, and Leo on the rising sign. My goodness, this is a celebrity aspect. This is somebody who shines when they walk in the room. This is someone who cannot be invisible when they go somewhere. This is someone who might like the spotlight, or they might be shy of it. It depends on the situation. But they sure like themselves. They sure like themselves. If you're born, somebody's born today, you like yourself, and boy, are you going to get a lot done with that Earth trine. So this is like a very sort of successful and ambitious kind of chart, even though there's always challenges in a chart, but there is a lot of good in this chart. So if there is anything where you are looking to stand out, speak in front of people, perform, give a talk, head a meeting, take charge of, I don't know, your kid's birthday party, like whatever it is, you got to be upbeat. It's Leo. You got to shine. You got to be upbeat. You got to be, it's like Leo is, they like attention, but they're also being fun loving with their, like, the good side is that they're generous. The worst case scenario of that combo would be just ultimate vanity. But again, there's a couple of things challenging it, but it doesn't feel like it's challenged so badly that you're going to look at and see like the ugly side of people who just need to be, let's say, famous for famous sake, or get attention no matter what means they need to go about it with. They just need attention, so they'll create a drama. It doesn't feel like that. It feels more like standing out, feeling of like, it's my turn. Yeah, it's about me. It's okay. People showing interest, maybe people asking you to do things, people noticing your talents, people validating, because it is the moon in Leo that's out there, hanging out there, on the ascendant, meaning you cannot hide how you feel in this Leo moon, this new moon. Venus, sun, and new moon in Leo on the rising, you can't hide how you feel. If you're excited, oh boy, we all feel it. If you're bouncing off the walls, if you're feeling dramatic or sorry for yourself or anything, we all know this will not be hidden at all. It's all over your face. And hopefully you'll bring out the fun side. And if you do get a chance to shine, hopefully you will hold yourself well and with grace and with some humility, because the worst thing is when, and it's normal if somebody's not used to having any attention flashed on them and then suddenly they get some. And that could be at anything. It doesn't have to be work. It could be at a party. Suddenly at a family dinner, everyone's like suddenly interested in what you have to say, and normally they're not. It could anything could happen where suddenly, oh, tension's on me. The best case scenario is we just are happy for it. We accept it gracefully. We say thank you. We enjoy telling our story or whatever there is being asked of us to show. And the worst case scenario is you get very awkward and you overdo it, and maybe you laugh a bit like way too loud or strained, or you show a little bit of like that vanity or neediness that's there under the surface, and it's normal for a lot of people to have, but sometimes it could bring that out. But it could also bring out just this really beautiful, generous, playful, fun-loving, sort of like the dad who's playing tag and chasing the kids around the yard and they're all giggling kind of moments, or like I said, other ways to shine. I mean, maybe you stand up and, well, in my case, I'll get up and sing with a bunch of people, and it's a great time. and the stage is shared. It's not just about me. You know, that's the way to be generous with your spotlight. Give people their solo, say, wow, let's give it up for whoever's running this evening. You know, you share the stage. And you can do that in a business meeting too, without self-effacing. You can still have your moment, say, thanks for the accolades. I loved working on this, but I couldn't have done it without blah, right? That's why I like think of these Academy Awards speeches, like the good ones, the bad ones, the ugly ones. That would be very much like Venus, Moon, and Sun on the, yeah, Leo rising. Think of the good speeches, not the bad ones, and that's the kind of moment you're looking to bring out. Otherwise, if you don't like that, because not everybody likes to shine and have it shine, definitely not. Like Scorpio's like, no thanks. Don't want the spotlight on me. Thank you very much. Taurus is like, I don't care. You know, I'll take it if it's there, but I don't care. Aquarius definitely does not. No, 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 no. No spotlight for me, please. I'm part of a team. I'm part of the background. I'm doing my own thing. I don't want attention for it. Yeah, but other signs do not mind. Aries does not mind attention. Sagittarius doesn't mind attention. Libra's like, "Oh," but they love it. They love the attention. Gemini will definitely shine when the attention's on them. They will take it and run with it. Pisces, not so much. Uh, could get really goofy and funny. Could show off some of their talent. Could also just like completely like, ah, you know, and space out. Capricorn, yeah. Uh, hmm. They might like some of the attention, but they'll deflect it to a topic or to their goals, not to their person so much. Um, Virgo, do they like attention? Yeah, they'll be a bit awkward about it though, because they don't feel comfortable really in a spotlight. And Cancer, does Cancer like attention? Yeah, it depends what kind. Depends how they feel. Depends who. Do they feel safe with who it's coming from or don't they? They'll either be out of their shell and all goofy. Like think of Robin Williams. He's a Cancer. Think about how loony and amazing his sense of humor was. But Cancer can also just withdraw back into the shell too. It's very dependent on the situation and the people. A bit like Pisces, but Pisces even more like dependent on the situation. Cancer might like, yeah, yeah, if they're getting a bit of attention, they might get excited. So now let's look at some of these other aspects that are in red that are a little more challenging. So the first main one here is challenging the sun, moon, and Venus in Leo and the rising, the whole thing, is the Jupiter and the Uranus and Taurus. That's like, oh, I've got ideas and they're different and let's get this done. And the Leo is like, yeah, but I was telling a story. Like, you're not listening to my story. Yeah, because we're trying to get something done. It's not time to stop and do your story. It's like, yeah, but you know. So there can be some friction between Taurus and Leo planets there. And Jupiter squaring the moon, yeah, there's a big pull. My needs versus this Jupiter expansion, like Jupiter's going, this is what we're doing. And the moon's going, yeah, but I feel this way. And Jupiter's like, yeah, but I'm going that way. It's like, yeah, but my needs count too. And so bit of a push-pull there. Uranus square Venus, to bring out some weird stuff. Gotta say. Yeah, Uranus can be a little weird, little kinky. Like I said, unpredictable. Squaring Venus, kinky stuff, sorry. Just strange tastes. Maybe some of it could be funny. It could be interesting, or it could be like you're into what? Oh, okay. Okay. Could be great as far as like comedy. Yeah, performance, reinventing yourself with how you present yourself to the world or how you look. It is eccentric though, and the Leo will emphasize it and make it more dramatic. So as we know, like that could make things go really, that could be bad, or it could be like hit the mark, you know. It's one of those things like going viral, where it's like someone puts all this energy and there's this new thing and it's really intense and they've got all this slick advertising for it, and it's a bit dramatic, and it's like either it's going to go, oh wow, that no way, man. Or people go, oh, that is so cool, that is so different, and that's so, because there's so much energy in whatever this eccentric direction is. So some of you might do or say or create something that just hits the mark, and it's like, wow, that's refreshing, that is so different, so original and like fun. And others of you are going to be like, oh my Lord, they just walked in, they're acting strange, what are they wearing, oh my goodness, kind of moment. You know, so that one's really hit or miss. Uranus square the moon also, because it's squaring the moon as well as Venus. Yeah, erratic emotions and fixed signs. So like flip flop, flip flop, flip flop. You're sure it's that. You're sure you feel that way, and you're sure it's another. You're sure. Flip flopping, and when you flip flop, your opinion is a little more fixed, and then you flip to the other one. That's possible too. The other square we have to take a look at here is what's squaring Pluto, because sometimes that activates stuff. But in this case, it's like squaring off with the nodes. We've seen this now chronically. We're just in a chapter where Pluto is squaring the nodes for quite a while. What does that mean? Well, sort of a long-term challenge towards like, where are we going in the world? Where have we been and where are we going? What are we supposed to focus on in the future? What's holding us back? And Pluto's squaring off with like life direction or direction, like where are we going? I'm sure you can identify that feeling. We've had that all through the pandemic, and it's ever present now. And so that's sort of, to me, like an outer ongoing context to everything else, is this feeling of like, don't know what direction to choose, don't know where to focus. Yeah. Pluto's also squaring Chiron. So again, activating old wounds or an amazing chance to heal. It's your choice. You know, are you extra triggered by certain things? Well, it's not fun. It could come up in an intense kind of way, but with Pluto there, it's very transformative if you decide to heal it, to work on healing it. So it's one of those things where some people feel they would call something difficult that happens or difficult that arises in them an opportunity. Sometimes I agree with that languaging. Everything is an opportunity if you frame it that way, but a lot of the time, calling everything an opportunity, even though something handed you like a crock of crap to deal with, it's not fun, and it doesn't feel like much of a gift or an opportunity at the time. In the bigger picture, yes, it's an opportunity. If I'm constantly triggered by something or someone, and it's been unpleasant and anxiety provoking, and you don't know what to do about it, if I'm going to turn around and take a look at the deeper reasons why, and look at patterns in my life and set boundaries with it, and think about, why did this arise in the first place? What led me here? What do I want in the future? That's enormous work. That's Plutonian kind of shadow work in order to work through that. But it is worth it, and it transforms your life, but it ain't easy, you know, and it's not a quick fix. So that's in the background. And the other thing finally is that Neptune is over here in Pisces, opposing all of that Virgo productive perfectionist energy. There's nothing much like you know, Pluto is sort of supporting Neptune, Uranus is sort of supporting Neptune, but it's not like, it's not a trine, it's a sextile. So it's a little bit like, okay, if you want to stick with the Neptune energy, there's not a lot of support for it. It's a bit weak, even though it's sextiles. To me, it feels sort of weak. That earth energy of like moving mountains and that Leo energy of like coming out of your shell and shining is way stronger than the influence of like being in your, you know, your ideals, your fantasies, your visions, your intuitions with Neptune. I mean, some people are always in that, but the predominant is get out in the world, do stuff, touch things that are real, do things that are tangible, let yourself be seen, shine. That's completely different than Neptune. And the Mars and Mercury together, they are supported, even though they're opposed by Neptune. So it does, to me, weaken the Neptune opposition. However, when Neptune is opposite Mercury, you got to be careful of like communication wazoo, like kind of, whoa, what they say? Did they mean that? Is that irony? Was that humor and I didn't get it? Is that some covert message and are they trying to, or did they pick up something? Because Neptune's intuition, right? Very intuitive. Did somebody pick up something about you on a subtle level and they said it out loud and you're left going, what? How the heck did they pick up that? And then they can create a little, you know, intrigue or paranoia. Neptune opposite Mars is the harder one because, again, the trine is stronger. So it is well supported and it will be productive. But normally, like Neptune opposite Mars would be like, Mars is like, great, I've got a plan. And Neptune goes, flick, flick, pts. Oh, oh, that's too bad. Your plan is all burnt. And Mars would be like, enraged, right? Because it was all going to go to plan and all done. And Neptune's like, dropped it in the water, can't read the writing. Oops. So Neptune diffuses and confuses and does not have a feeling of action. And Mars needs action. So it's like somebody running a marathon into a fog. Did they make it through? I don't know. Did they get lost? Are they on the other side and we can't tell? So there is some confusion in the air at this new moon, but the predominant energy is not that. Predominant energy would be rah, rah, rah. Let's get out there, show your drive, show your passion, show your desires, show your flair, tell some jokes, have a little, you know, a little drama to you, take some risks. Okay, well, Uranus, maybe you looked a bit stupid, but maybe it's not that bad. Or maybe you're just like, people go, wow, look at you. What a crazy color you've got on or something. And the other predominant energy is the trine, the grand trine of like Earth. Let's get in our gardens. Let's build stuff. Let's rearrange stuff. Let's touch things, do things that have a tangible result. So I'm liking the energy of this new moon. Let's now look at our cards. Isn't it cool how every 2 weeks these charts are just so different? You know, if you're a skeptic and you've been watching me or any astrologer, pardon me, for a while, you just can't say, oh, it's all generic and it's all just cookie cutter. No, look what we just did there. That is not the same thing I said 2 weeks ago with the planetary configuration. It's not the same vibe. So I still think astrology is just the coolest, honestly. And I've been practicing it since I'm 15. So holy crap, that's like almost 40 years. Still doesn't disappoint me. All right, let's take a look Where's my sage? Where's my lighter? There we go. I like to burn my sage because, you know, it's a sacred herb and it does have a very calming and cleansing effect that I always feel. So I will calm down my own exuberant Leo side. You can tell just by even how I deliver the chart, by the energy of the chart. Like this one was all just high energy and excitement. Louder. That's Leo. All right. So we're just going to look at the cards and see what other insights it gives us into this new moon in general, and then we'll look at everybody's signs as usual. All right. So our first card. Ooh, gosh. Oh gosh. Didn't expect that. Okay. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the death card. The death card is a very swift transformation. Something that you thought was you could count on will change rapidly. And then something better will come in its place. It's sort of like oh, bringing in the new thing. There it goes. I like this death card particularly compared to some other decks because if you notice, he's got a very dynamic position. He or she has a dynamic position. It's not oppressive and over people like death has come to get you. This is almost like running or dancing. It's very busy, and he's cutting away the strings that bind people. And you see he's cut away with the sickle, the strings, and there's figures that are surrounded and floating and going to the light. So this is obviously that sometimes is literally what happens, but the death card very rarely shows up as as when there's a death. I've been reading cards for what, 35 something more years. It's never shown up that I can recall as an omen of death. It's always an omen of a transformation or a shock, but not a death. And he cuts away the strings, and so the person goes to the light. He releases you. So we can expect that maybe the new moon brings a bit of a surprise or a shock, but don't worry because something better comes in its place. And I've lived the death card many times to be able to tell you it's true. Our next card is the Queen of Wands. So as you see, she's holding the leopard's head. That's a lot of control. That's a lot of power. She's very powerful and dominant. She's way up there. The leopard's way down there, and she's pointing his head the way she wants him to look. So are you experiencing a level of higher power and self-control in your life, or control over others? Leadership? Are you being asked to guide and lead? You want to be careful with the Queen of Wands that you're not overbearing. Otherwise, are you in a situation where someone is very controlling? Could be you, could be them. But I would ask myself that because she's so dominant. Now, in her good side, like we said, sometimes you need somebody who's very controlling and fully aware in detail of what they're doing and takes charge. Sometimes you need somebody to run a tight ship. Someone has to be in charge. You wouldn't want an airline pilot to be wishy-washy. You'd want her to be like this. But in other scenarios, it can be too much, right? Oh, wow. Good cards. Jeez. The next one is the Magician. And this magician, as you can see, all of his tools are floating in the matrix. And he knows at any moment he can just summon them and they will be there. So it's almost like he's got full control over, again, like, or access or influence or magic over these elements. And he can play. he can have fun with them now. So it's sort of like, what's he want to create? And even the, if you can see the monkey at the bottom, that usually is around there to sort of challenge him. It's sort of like eclipsed by these wings that are there. So not much is getting in his way. And he looks very joyful, and he looks like he's surrounded by light. So this is a good time for anyone entrepreneurial or creative to launch something. Geez, the gain, money card, Venus and Virgo. Just do your budgeting. Make sure you're realistic about stuff. But this is usually a card of receiving money or increasing your finances. Or you're thinking about it an awful lot. It's not like a scrounging or scarcity card. It's really a card where you feel secure financially. So I'm hesitant to even say that right now, knowing how many people are struggling with their rent and their food bills. So, we're not promising lottos to people, but this would suggest, counting your pennies in a way. It's Venus and Virgo, like where every dime is going. You're strategic with your money. If you're strategic and grounded with your money, it grows. And we've got the moon. Wow, it's the third major arcana. This is like a very interesting reading. So the moon card is sensitive to what it's around. As you see, there's these two gatekeepers and the two towers that look kind of shadowy and dark. So it's like you've got to cross over into another dimension or through these gates to get to something better. And there's also what's going on under the surface. So it's a really confusing card, right? It's like, where am I? Am I down here below the surface? Am I above? Is there something scary with these two towers and these two figures staring, or do I just walk through? It's no big deal. The moon, represents the unconscious and our fantasies, our illusions, our secrets. Again, we've said that, there could be some of that coming up and coming out during this new moon. Have to see what's next to it. But when it's standing beside the card of gain, that's when you could get very interesting, advantageous things happening. Because the moon will heighten what it's next to. It'll give, if the next card is negative or difficult, then we'll have to temper this. But if it's just the moon next to the 9 of discs, that would sort of give a bit of a glow or maybe a magic or a mysterious thing around money. But usually it would mean in a good way. The next card is the Princess of Discs. She's very grounded. This might be a very good time for some of you. But again, it's very earthbound, earth energy. This is like, you got to be very practical. You got to do the yucky stuff that you don't normally like to do, the physical paperwork stuff, the cleaning up stuff, the bringing stuff to the Goodwill, the whatever it is, like it's not about sitting around writing in your diary and thinking about it. It's not about scrolling and getting all overexcited about something, an idea. This is like implementing, when it's earth. So if you're really grounded, this might be a really wonderful new moon for you. Advantageous. We've got the universe. So now we've got 4 major arcana in this reading. I keep bringing that up because usually the more major arcana you have, the more there's sort of a feeling of fate, meaning like higher forces at work, converging, giving you choices or lessons to change direction or do something big. The universe is evaluating and culmination. And so could be a nice culmination with all these other cards. So whatever that death card brings, whatever it takes away, whatever it brings in its wake, looks like it's going to be very nice and maybe bring you to the end of a chapter, bring you something you've been wanting, bring you some closure. Our next card is also Major Arcana, the Hierophant. That could be anything from going within, doing a lot of research, reading, consulting with a spiritual advisor or your own spirit guides. There's like a depth of wisdom there. And with the rest of this reading, it's very nice. Feels like really like moving on for real. And all of this rich wisdom and introspection or writing or whatever like that's going to come with the end of that chapter. It's beautiful. And then we've got the last card is Sorrow. Well, that's wow. Oh gosh. Well, the Sorrow card is sort of weird here, but in another way it's not, because when you end a chapter, even if you say, oh, I've been wanting this for so long, and then finally something comes and finally you've got a chance to do what you've always wanted to do, or you're finally ready to leave or move on from something that you've been thinking about. There will be grief because it's a brand new chapter. You'll still grieve the old one or the old self, the old person you were before, even though you're happy to be becoming the new. So it's more on that level. I feel compelled to pull one more here. Okay. So after on the heels of that, we have the King of Cups. So there will be somebody who's very sensitive and more nurturing around to help you through things or be a support or someone who shows up in the midst of this. Oh, it's so lovely. I just get such a great feeling for this new moon. I can't believe it. All right. So how can we phrase the question for the signs? Let's see. Hmm. I feel compelled to ask something like, what kind of, transformation? We always use that word. What kind of magic is in the air for you? What kind of surprises? Are there any surprises? That's a nice question. Are there any surprises this new moon for you? Any magic? All right. Aries. Oh, Five of Swords. Are there any surprises? Yes. For you, I'm getting a feeling you got to be careful not to get involved in a conflict that you didn't expect. It's time to sort of hold your tongue on something or somebody. Everybody already knows how you feel about it. You don't want to make things worse by like driving that point home too often or just bringing out something nastier than really needs to be let out or known. Um, yeah, that's the feeling I get, is like that's sort of the surprise, is you might think, oh, I'm just complaining one more time like I always do about X, Y, or Z, but something is shifting and it's not that received the same way. It's not received in some mundane, oh, well, they're just saying that again. Here we go again, broken record, or there's something in the air that's different. And it will, and that behavior will be received differently this time. So that's your cautionary tale. Taurus. Well, your magic or surprise, you've got a money card. Well, there could be some financial help. This card is so many things. It's a lump sum. But lump sums can be anything from lotteries to inheritances to welfare checks, um, dividends, benefits, a loan. So if that's in the air for you, if you need it, if you want to ask for it, if you've been waiting for it, um, could be a nice thing you get hired for, but there's a lump sum or yeah, access to a chunk of money for you. Who doesn't want that surprise, right? That's a great one. All right, Gemini, what's your surprise? Oh, and we've got our Princess of Discs again. So, for you, there's someone around you in your life that's probably representing this Princess of Discs. So somebody very down to earth and wise beyond their years. They might be young, but they're wiser than their years. And they have a surprising amount of resourcefulness and warmth, and they're able to help you through something. So the nice surprise is, in a sense, like if you let down your guard a bit and let somebody in, they might really surprise you with how much they helped you. And it's not practical favors or anything kind of help. It's emotional. It's life guidance. So sort of like a friend or a mentor. Um, could even be that you're surprised that your own spouse turns out to be more, or your sister or your daughter turns out to be wiser than you thought, or more loving and practical minded and helpful than you thought. That's a nice one. Cancers. So your surprise is the Prince of Cups. So that's not as nice a surprise. Sorry. The surprise is, oh, look, someone I thought was great is not very reliable after all. Oh, look, this person who is so sensitive and sweet is actually a mess inside. Oh, this person that is so thoughtful is really inconsistent because they're so freaked out about their own life or about like their feelings for you, or they are not who you thought they were. Still a good person, but just showing a side that you're like, oh, I thought I'd found this really wonderful, attentive, thoughtful, sincere person who could commit, and I thought I'd found the friend or the one or the employee or whatever. But no, they need some more support and help than that. They're messier inside than you thought. So just keep an eye out. Leo, what is your surprise? Nice success. Ah, 6 of Discs. Well, that's a nice surprise. Some things are going to start to expand. There might be more people involved, groups, teams, collaborations, people showing up to to do things together where you thought, oh, I have to do that alone. Belonging to something suddenly that's really working well. And I always love this card because there's like, yeah, it's hard to see. There's a cross and there's a rose in the middle. It's like the heart the rose represents the heart and the heart flower, and the cross, um yeah, I'm getting tongue tied, sorry. It's a very strong message for healing the heart, and Leo rules the heart. And but it's out of a practical or collaborative endeavor or a group project or a team sport or something like that, where you feel very contained and secure, and there's room to move, and there's room to show who you are, and there's room for other people to show who they are. There's a lot of healing involved in that. That's wonderful. Okay, Virgo, what's your surprise? Oh, well, that makes sense though. Eight of Swords is analysis paralysis. When you've got Mercury and Mars in your sign, of course, you're just going to be revved up right now, flooded, flooded with too many things, too many ideas, too many words, too many projects, too many things to get done. Try to simplify, try to let go of some things or delegate some things or simplify some things. So the surprise for you, unfortunately, is that you might be a lot more overwhelmed and sort of feeling stuck because maybe you've said yes to too many things. Maybe you've taken on a bit more than you can chew. Or maybe you're just revving your head over and over and over on the hamster wheel about something, and you've really got to pull yourself off of that. Libra, what's your surprise? Five of Wands. Not very nice surprise, sorry. Let's see what that's about. Strife. I mean, usually that's like people, and it's a Leo card, Saturn in Leo. Too much ego. It's too much ego around. So whose egos are you dealing with? Hmm. Libra, you don't like to stir the pot or rock the boat or make waves or all of that. But someone around is like not very savory. Um, doesn't mean you have to say something, but you're certainly aware of it. And hard to say what you will actually be willing to do about it. You will feel the discomfort, but you yourself probably won't want to be the one to address it or deal with it yourself or tell other people. But it's sort of like somebody's gone too far in your entourage. Someone's gone too far. All right, Scorpio, your surprise is victory. That's nice. Very nice surprise for you. Jupiter in Leo, another Leo card. That's awesome too. So what is your surprise? Success here. Victory. Looks like you actually will get that chance to shine or be seen. You will perhaps be called upon to do something or asked to present something or promote it. There's like a definite feeling of rising up and being more visible, which, we said, Scorpio, I don't like that. Hopefully for you, it's like rising up, but a bit more behind the scenes, or not in a way where people are in your face or in your space too much, but you're rising up. And this would also mean like people recognizing what you've done, seeing you clearly, appreciating who you are. This is a lovely card. Sort of feels like it's more, a group or a public thing versus like, oh, finally my cousins see me for who I am or something. No, it feels more like work related, societal, neighborhood, visibility. Take it in, let it happen. It's good. It's good for you. Sagittarius, what is your surprise? Ah, and you have the Queen of Wands. So, it's a good or bad surprise for you. Well, if you have been in any way trying to take control too much or overbearing, it's going to bite back. If you have not been doing that, then it's asking you to step up and do that. It's a tricky balance here, this card, Like I said, we earlier at the beginning reading, we like somebody we need people who can come up and be in charge and going over every detail, and they don't let anything slip, and they're sort of helicoptering over everything to make sure it's done well. But not every scenario can handle that, or that's not appropriate, or appreciated in every scenario. So if people are giving you a lot of pushback, or you feel like subtly left out, or they're not quite listening, or taking your ideas, it's probably because something about the way you're doing it is overbearing or pushing people's buttons. And on the other hand, again, it's a slippery slope. Maybe people aren't listening because you need to be more assertive. It's sort of like, I would say the big message here is like to really think about how you're coming across and how you say things. Is it in a leadership way? Is it an egoistic way? Is it overbearing in any way, or is it motivating and strong and inspiring? And you might want to ask people for their feedback on how they see you so that you can adjust that. Capricorn, your surprise. Ah, virtue, 3 of Wands. Ah, wow. Your surprise actually might be something to do with your inner life, a rise in your feeling of peace. For those of you that are on a spiritual path and wanting to connect to your higher self, your guidance, your ancestors, it's a strong feeling of that being accessible to you or coming through. Some of you might just hear a more pure feeling of your own voice, your own self, your higher self, and therefore you're going to get in touch with your guides or your goals or your true feelings on something, your truth, capital T, you know. Some of you, it could be just like streaming through, yeah, your art. But it's like it's whatever is a higher connection for yourself, to yourself. So that's a very nice surprise. Yeah, that's like a raising vibration or elevation kind of feeling. Aquarius, what is your surprise? Change. 2 of Discs, Jupiter. Jupiter in Capricorn. Well, I don't think any Aquarius is surprised that life changes or things change. So that ain't it. That's not it. Feels like there's a changing of the guard. Changing of the guard. Something around you that affects you is shifting power. Different person might step up in charge, different philosophy. Sometimes it's a very mysterious reason why some people suddenly gain momentum or power, intensity. People listen, people are following them, and sometimes you're out of favor, and people are, and your power, you're weakened. There's a shifting of the guard. So I don't think it's you. I think it's in your environment, but it'll affect you. So it's just one of those things where you're like, okay, things are changing yet again. Here we go. Nah, 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 you know. And Pisces, what is your surprise? You've got the Knight, King of Swords, King of Swords. Somebody around you, very, very fast, very quick, very smart, moves at lightning speed, swoops in, maybe a bit too much, a bit too fast. Could be somebody, I don't know, get a feeling like this guy suddenly wants to date you, or he's suddenly around, suddenly wants something. Could be someone shows up and just wants you to hire them. Somebody shows up and wants you to help them. Somebody shows up and wants to, but he's coming in quickly and he wants something from you. And if you're feeling comfortable with the person and the negotiation is clear and the limits are clear, well, nothing wrong with that. Also, nothing wrong with saying no. You might need to say no. If there is no clarity, I would say no. But even if somebody swoops in, they say, "Hey, I could really use, could I borrow, I don't know, not money, but could I borrow your tools because I have this thing?" And you're like, go with your gut. Maybe it's a yes. Maybe it's fine. Maybe you're helping somebody out who's just never asked you for anything before. Or this could be somebody you do not want to. Why are you moving so fast? Why are you so urgent? How come you can't give me a deadline? How come you're not getting back to me when you said? Any inconsistency with this guy, you say no. You say no. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So that concludes our new moon reading. If you would like your own personal reading, please contact me at river.rain.info@gmail.com. I'm going to leave all the links, of course, below the video if you're still here. And please join my Intuition Cafe if you're interested to keep in touch and develop your own skills. All right. Happy full moon. New moon. Happy new moon.